You feel everything, and that is exactly why they keep beating you. Think about the last time someone used you. You saw it happening. You felt the wrongness of it in your gut, but you stayed quiet. You made excuses for them. You told yourself they didn't mean it. That is not kindness. That is a wound you keep reopening yourself. Niccolò Machiavelli watched this pattern for decades. He watched warm, generous, emotionally available men get destroyed by the cold, the calculating, and the strategically detached. He wrote about it in 1513. Nobody listened then, and nobody listens now. Ask yourself this question. How many times has your empathy been weaponized against you? How many times did you give someone the benefit of the doubt, only for them to hand that doubt straight back to you as a blade? The world does not reward feeling. The world rewards positioning. You were never taught that. You were taught the exact opposite. You were taught that vulnerability is strength, that openness builds connection, that wearing your heart on your sleeve earns trust. It earns you one thing, a target. Here is the truth nobody will say to your face. Your emotionality is not a personality trait. It is a strategic error. Cold people do not win because they are broken. They win because they understand one fundamental thing that you don't. Emotion is information, not a performance. Today, that changes for you. In the next several minutes, you are going to learn 6 principles. First, why emotional detachment is a weapon, not a disorder. Second, how cold people read the room while you're still reacting to it. Third, the covert contract you keep signing without even knowing it. Fourth, how to surgically remove emotional dependency from your decisions. Fifth, the fox and the lion, and exactly why you need both. And finally, how to project warmth while feeling nothing and dominate every room. Stay until the end. The final principle is the one most people never reach. It is the one that separates the sovereign from the slave. Here is what a cold person does when someone disrespects them. They feel it fully, completely. They register every detail. Then they file it away like a general marking enemy positions on a map. Here is what you do. You react, you explain, you defend, you somehow apologize for their behavior. You walk away confused, ashamed, and smaller than when you entered. You just handed them real-time intelligence about your deepest pressure points for free. Psychologists call this emotional dysregulation. Machiavelli called it something much simpler: weakness made visible. He who has not first laid his foundations may be able with great ability to lay them afterwards, but they will be laid with trouble to the architect and danger to the building. Your emotional reactions are your foundation. If they are unstable, everything built on top, your reputation, your relationships, your power, shakes. Cold people have already done the internal construction. Their foundation does not move when you push it. This is not sociopathy. This is shadow integration, a concept Carl Jung identified long before it became self-help vocabulary. It means you have faced your darkest impulses, your rage, your fear, your grief, and absorbed them instead of being controlled by them. The person who has integrated their shadow does not flinch when you threaten them. They have already lived through their own worst-case scenario internally. Here is your tactical directive. Starting today, when you feel a strong emotional response in a social situation, do not express it immediately, but do not suppress it either. Name it internally. Say the word inside your head. Anger, fear, humiliation. Naming an emotion activates the prefrontal cortex and physically reduces your amygdala's response. Science confirms what Machiavelli knew intuitively. Naming your enemy diminishes their power over you. Then ask yourself, what is this emotion telling me about this person's move? Treat your feelings as reconnaissance, not as a press release. Cold people do not just control their their reactions. They read yours, and they do it before you even know you've given anything away. Count to 3. Think about the most controlled person you know, someone who almost never loses composure. 1, 2, 3. Now ask yourself, how much do you actually know about what they are really thinking? Almost nothing, right? That gap between what they know about you and what you know about them is called information asymmetry, and cold people exploit it with surgical precision. Every time you over-explain, you hand them blueprints. Every time you justify an emotional reaction, you reveal a pressure point. Every time you share your insecurities unprompted, you are handing a fox the key to your henhouse. Robert Greene understood this deeply. In the 48 Laws of Power, the law always say less than necessary is not about being mysterious for the sake of ego. It is about denying your opponent the data they need to neutralize you. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You have been playing the lion. Loud, visible, emotional, predictable. Cold people play the fox first, and they only reveal the lion when the trap is already sprung. Watch this dynamic in any meeting, any negotiation, any conflict. The person who speaks the least controls the most. The person who reacts first loses ground first. The person who desperately needs the silence filled always reveals something they didn't intend to. Your tactical directive: practice deliberate silence, not passive silence, strategic silence. When someone makes a claim, an accusation, or an emotional appeal, pause for 5 full seconds before responding. This is not rudeness. This is calibration. You are forcing them into the discomfort of information asymmetry. In those 5 seconds, watch their face, watch their hands, watch whether they try to fill the silence themselves. They almost always do, and in that filling, they hand you everything. If you are finding value in this, drop a comment right now. Write the word fox below. That tells me to keep making content at this level. Here is a brutal truth about why emotional people feel perpetually betrayed. You operate on covert contracts. A covert contract is an unspoken, unilateral agreement you create entirely in your own mind. You give someone loyalty, and you silently expect loyalty back. You give someone emotional support, and you expect them to protect your feelings. You sacrifice for someone, and you expect them to sacrifice for you. Nobody agreed to this contract. You wrote it, you signed it, you handed them a copy they never even read, and then you are devastated when they don't honor it. This is not their betrayal. This is your cognitive dissonance, the painful gap between the story you told yourself and the reality that was always there. Cold people do not operate on covert contracts. They operate on explicit exchanges. They give what is useful to them strategically. They receive what serves their position. They feel no shame about this because they never lied to themselves about human nature in the first place. Machiavelli was not cynical. He was precise. Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The people who are ready to be deceived are not stupid. They are emotionally invested in a version of reality that does not exist. Are you one of them? Your tactical directive: audit your 3 most significant relationships right now. For each one, write down what you give and what you silently expect in return. Then ask yourself, has this person ever explicitly agreed to this exchange? If the answer is no, you are operating on a covert contract. Dissolve it, not by confronting them, but by releasing your expectation. give only what you choose to give freely, with no hidden invoice attached. The moment you stop keeping emotional score, you reclaim your power. But dissolving covert contracts is only possible once you've dealt with something deeper, your emotional dependency on outcomes. That is what breaks most people before they ever get there. You want respect, you want acknowledgement, you want people to see your effort and validate it. That want is a leash around your neck, and whoever holds the other end of that leash controls you completely. They do not even need to try. Cold people have severed that leash. They act without needing the outcome to confirm them. They speak without needing the room to applaud. They walk away from tables where they are not valued, and they feel absolutely nothing when they do it, because their sense of identity is not housed in someone else's opinion. Psychologists describe this as your locus of control. An external locus of control means your psychological state is determined by what happens to you. An internal locus means your state is determined entirely by your own assessment of yourself. Emotionally reactive people live in an external locus almost exclusively. Cold people live inside themselves. They are the center of their own gravity. Think of it this way: the hyena needs the kill to feel powerful. The lion simply is powerful, with or without the meal. One creature performs dominance, the other simply occupies it. Which one are you? Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Machiavelli is telling you something surgical here. Constant success requires absolute detachment from any single outcome. Because outcomes shift, circumstances shift. The person who is emotionally fused with one specific result cannot adapt when that result does not arrive. Your tactical directive before your next significant interaction, a negotiation, a difficult conversation, a pitch: identify the exact outcome you want, write it down. Then write these words next to it: I will function effectively whether this happens or not. This is not positive thinking. This is a pre-commitment to internal stability. You are telling your nervous system in advance that its worth is not on the ballot. You enter the room with nothing to prove. That energy is readable, and it commands respect before you say a single word. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Everything in this video is only the surface layer. What comes next on this channel goes deeper, much deeper. This is where most dark psychology content lies to you. They tell you to be cold, be hard, show nothing, project absolute invulnerability. That is only half the formula, and half a formula gets you destroyed. Machiavelli was explicit. The prince must be both the fox and the lion. The lion frightens wolves with pure force, authority, and dominance. The fox recognizes traps through adaptability, strategic warmth, and social intelligence. A person who is only a lion is far too predictable. You see them coming, you bait them with an obvious target, and simply watch them charge. A person who is only a fox is eventually exposed. Their coldness leaks. People feel the absence of genuine energy, and they recoil. The devastatingly effective person, the one who wins rooms, negotiations, and long-term power, knows exactly how to project warmth while remaining internally detached. This is not deception in the moral sense. This is emotional mastery. An actor does not hate their stage, they use it. You have watched certain people walk into rooms and immediately shift the temperature. Everyone turns, the conversation calibrates toward them. And yet, if you studied them carefully, you would notice they are not the most expressive person in the room. They are the most intentional one. Their eye contact is deliberate. Their smile arrives precisely. Their attention lands on you like a spotlight and then moves. They make you feel seen, then leave you wanting more. That is the fox wearing a warm face. That is information asymmetry, weaponized through charisma. Your tactical directive: study your own facial expressions in a mirror during a neutral conversation. Most people are either overexpressive, constantly performing emotion, or underexpressive, appearing completely disengaged. Neither commands respect. Calibrate to interested neutrality, engaged eyes, a relaxed jaw, a slight forward inclination, responses that arrive just one beat slower than expected. This is not a performance. This is precision. Practice it until it becomes architecture. We have covered 5 principles. The final one is the one most people simply cannot execute, not because it is complicated, but because it requires you to finally make peace with something you have been running from your entire life. Here is the final trap. You have started building detachment. You are learning information asymmetry. You are dissolving covert contracts. You are cutting your outcome dependency. And then someone misreads you. Someone calls you cold, distant, arrogant, or difficult, and something inside you collapses. You rush to explain yourself. You bend, you soften, you hand them back every single centimeter of ground you just took. Why? Because you still desperately need to be understood. And that need is the very last leash they have on you. The most powerful people in history were consistently misunderstood. Julius Caesar was called ruthless. Marcus Aurelius was called distant. Machiavelli himself was called the devil's advisor for 5 centuries, simply for telling the truth. Being misunderstood is not a failure of communication. It is often the uncompromising cost of operating at a level others cannot access. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. This is the most misquoted line in all of power philosophy. People hear cruelty. What Machiavelli actually meant is precision. When love and fear compete, love is conditional and easily transferable. Fear, meaning respect, gravitas, consequence, is durable. Stop optimizing for being liked. Optimize for being taken seriously. Ask yourself this question: what decisions have you reversed? What boundaries have you abandoned? What positions have you softened? Not because you were wrong, but solely because someone seemed upset with you. Write that number in your head. Feel its heavy weight. That number is the exact measurement of how much sovereignty you have surrendered to the need for approval. Your tactical directive. The next time someone misreads your detachment as coldness, your silence as arrogance, or your boundary as cruelty, do not correct them. Do not explain. Do not perform warmth to reassure them. Simply maintain your position with quiet steadiness. Let your actions over time do the correcting. The people worth keeping will understand eventually. The ones who don't were never seeing you clearly anyway. Let's bring this together like a blade being finished. You came into this video feeling everything, perhaps feeling too much, wondering why people with fewer scruples, less warmth, and less apparent humanity seem to move through the world with more ease, more respect, and more power. Now you know why. It is not that cold people feel nothing. It is that they have disciplined what they feel into function. They have turned emotional data into tactical intelligence. They have severed covert contracts and stopped operating on invisible expectations. They have cut the leash of outcome dependency and built their identity from the inside out. They project warmth as a tool while remaining internally unshakable, and they have made complete peace with being misunderstood because they know that operating at their level always comes at that cost. This is not darkness for its own sake. This is strategic sovereignty. Now hear this clearly. If you walk away from this video and change nothing, you will face the exact same rooms, the exact same people, and the exact same pattern of giving everything and receiving confusion in return. The same covert contracts you write alone at midnight when you realize someone has used you again. The world does not wait for you to become ready. The wolves do not pause while the sheep consider strategy. You have the principles now. The next move is yours. If this reached something in you, if this named something you have felt but never had language for, subscribe to this channel. New videos go up regularly. Each one goes deeper into the mechanics of power, psychology, and self-sovereignty. And right now, in the comments below, write this single word: sovereign, not for me. Write it for yourself. Write it as a declaration that you are done being readable, predictable, and emotionally available to people who are none of those things in return. Write sovereign below, and if there is one person in your life who needs to hear what you heard today, share this video with them. Without any explanation, let them figure out why you sent it. That right there is already the fox at work.